Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Republican from California. Mr. Chairman, thanks for being here.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Brett.
Your assessment of where we are in fighting terrorists and perhaps how the threat has evolved.
Well, we currently face, and I keep say this, the largest terrorist threat level that we've ever been since 9/11.
The largest?
The largest, and it keeps growing. Day by day it grows because more and more numbers get added to the ranks of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So, Al-Qaeda essentially split. Part of them became ISIS. For now, they're the most popular, so they're adding folks. And as you know, they've created a brand that young people are attracted to here in the United States. So you have the radicalization of the internet that continues to add followers, which has led to attacks here in the homeland. But I'm really worried about the refugee flow from North Africa and from Syria and Iraq into Europe. I think there are thousands and thousands of people we don't know about there that our allies have a real problem on their hands.
Well, on that front, I mean, what about the Syrian refugees coming to the U.S.? And, Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, says that's a concern as well.
Yeah, and the House of Representatives overwhelmingly agrees with that. And we passed legislation to stop the refugee program until we could get it certified by the FBI director and our intelligence agencies. But the Senate...
That's a weakness.
It's for sure a weakness because you can't vet the people that are coming in very well. I mean, if someone shows up with no documents, and you don't know, how do you ultimately find those, discover who those people are? I know they try to go, and I think we do a pretty good job at trying to vet. But what I've said, and I think the Congress has spoken clearly, at least Republicans in Congress have said, we just need to stop it right now and halt it because there's too much going on globally. The world is on fire from Morocco to the Philippines.
We've been trying to get a handle on this terrorist threat and what it kind of looks like with intelligence. This is the National Security Advisor then, after the Osama bin Laden raid, talking about what came out of that. Tom Donilon.
It's the largest cache of intelligence information gotten from a senior terrorist that we know of. Just the size of a small college library. It'll need to be translated. It'll need to be assessed. It'll need to be reviewed. It really is a treasure trove of intelligence.
A treasure trove. But in August of last year, the Weekly Standard wrote, the Obama administration does not want the bin Laden documents released. To date, the administration has made fewer than 150 documents out of more than 1 million, despite a statutory requirement to expedite the release of the collection. The administration claims the documents have been translated and exploited. We're skeptical. This is the Weekly Standard, and so are our sources. Steve Hayes has been leading the way with Tom Joslin on this. You've been pushing for those documents. You now have had some success. Are you learning anything from them?
Well, we're learning a lot. But let me first start with that the administration is slow rolling us on the release of those documents. And originally they came out and I think released 16 or 17 documents that created a false narrative about what bin Laden was actually doing.
In other words, he was more plugged in with a lot of these other groups around the world.
Right, but the original documents made it look like he was not. It made him look
Winter
like
in
a
Lion in the Winter.
Lion in Winter was the famous headline. And what we're finding now is more and more of these documents come out, we're finding that bin Laden had significant ties to Iran, that Iran was a tunnel for Al-Qaeda. Bin Laden told his followers not to attack the Iranians. And I think as we begin to comb through more of these documents and they become released to the public for historians to look at, we're going to learn a lot more about bin Laden, and it's not going to be what was presented by the administration.
Well, that is fascinating about Iran. I mean, there were some indications and suggestions, but what you're saying is that Iran and Al-Qaeda had some kind of symbiotic relationship.
Well, we already know that from just the few documents that have been released.
But do you think Iran had any tie to the 9/11 attacks?
Well, this gets into another subject. So at the same time, we have an investigation at the House Intelligence Committee that's been going on for a long time, and we've been trying to gather as many of these documents and reports as possible. We finally were able to receive these reports, or some of the reports. What we're now finding out is that we are still short many of the reports that we need to actually do a full assessment. So I remain concerned that there was intelligence work done down at CENTCOM that the taxpayers paid for and that our military intelligence professionals went through and spent a lot of time on that we do not have still at the House Intelligence Committee, and those products were never put into finished intelligence products.
Is your guess as to why that happened, one, about the terrorist connections, that the administration wanted to downplay the role of al-Qaeda and the significance of the terrorist threat, and then two, about Iran, that obviously this administration wanted to get an Iran nuclear deal passed? Is that your suggestion?
So look, that would be speculation. But what I can tell you is that in this town, when the administration won't give you something that you have the constitutional right to have, right? So we have the authority, we have the clearances. All of these files should be transmitted to the House Intelligence Committee, and they're not being given to us. And they're slow rolling the public release of documents also. So if that's happening, why? Why do it? If there's nothing to be afraid of, why not? I mean, we all have clearances. At least give it, if you want to slow roll and not release publicly some, that there may be a reason for that. But you should at least provide them to the House Intelligence Committee so that we can conduct an investigation, and that's not happening.
Your hope is that eventually it does?
Eventually, we're getting close to subpoenaing the documents.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for the time.
My pleasure.